be adventurous today, why not? So adventurous for me is slightly less neutral neutrals. Good morning, gentle viewer. Today is Manuscript Monday, the first Manuscript Monday of December. So I'm going to be getting ready for the day this morning and also talking about my writing intentions for the month of December, candy bar scenes, and finding that elusive flow state. So thank you for stopping by and I hope you enjoy. Okay, I'm gonna get started with my getting ready. I did some eyebrow grooming this past weekend for the first time in a long time. It was desperately needed because eyebrows just want to reach out and touch each other. I really wanted to step back and do some assessment on where I'm at in my manuscript. So I have drafted many of the key scenes and key plot points. So now what I'd like to do this week is go through all of that and see how it pans out structurally. So what I'll probably do is make a list of the scenes and then put that side by side next to my outline and then adjust the outline so it better suits the story flow. And then I can really see what major plot elements still need to be incorporated. I also need to start plotting out the major B plot and the subplots to make sure that those also reach a satisfying conclusion. But this past week, I penned a couple of scenes that I really enjoyed. And while writing them, I really got into that flow state where I lost track of time and I was just really absorbed in the story. And when it came time to break off for lunch, I was really resistant to stopping. That elusive flow state, which I notice happens more often when I am penning scenes that I'm really looking forward to writing. In Rachel Aaron's book, 2K to 10K, she calls these scenes candy bar scenes. And her book talks a lot about harnessing the power of those candy bar scenes when you're drafting. And James Scott Bell, in many of his books, talked about when you're planning out your novel, making a list of killer scenes. And it's the same concept. It's scenes that you are really looking forward to write. Scenes that when you first conceptualized your novel, those are the scenes that immediately came to mind. And this is an idea I want to be more mindful about in my writing because I've touched on it before, but when I have writer's block, it's usually because I'm not enjoying the scene I'm working on. So instead of trying to force my way through it because I feel like it'll be somehow essential to the plot or because my outline says it's supposed to be there, what I need to do instead is mindfully step back and say, either how can I make it so I do want to write the scene so it's not boring, or otherwise the scene needs to be completely revamped and that plot point I'm trying to hit by writing it needs to be incorporated in another way. Another thing I'd like to do this week is really start brainstorming my next project that I'm going to be working on. And I know for some writers that can be dangerous territory. You might get hijacked by the shiny new project. But for me, it's really beneficial to have multiple projects in the works, especially if they're in different stages. So if I can be editing one and drafting or brainstorming another, for me that's a good place to be. So while I'm sinking into the second draft of the current work in progress, I want to go ahead and get a running start into brainstorming the next one. One of the things I found myself doing for the rough draft is writing out the finale or those climactic scenes first. And that's something I've only done in the past once that I can remember. But I'm thinking going forward, that might be something I need to do more often when I'm working on a new manuscript. Because more than any other parts, I want the finale and the beginning to be especially memorable and interesting. So by working on those parts earlier in the draft, I can kind of go into them without any expectations. And that way I can just let it happen in as awesome a way as possible. Then I can take the details from that and go back and make sure the plot supports all of those things happening. So I'm using the EcoTools double-ended eye brush tool, and I think it's perfect for working on those smaller contours because I use the one end, the smudge, to apply the contouring, and then I use the blending side to go back in and soften those lines. In regards to the secondary project that I want to start brainstorming, ideally what I'd love to do is once a week go to a coffee shop or the library and work on that by hand there in that change of environment, just with pen and notebook. That would be the ideal situation. It's not really realistic for me right now, but I want to at least attempt something of that nature in this upcoming year. If you're in the San Diego area, there's a small coffee shop behind the Central Library. I'll link it in the box. It has some really great indie coffee shop vibes going on, and the coconut milk latte was delicious. I kind of went there on a whim about a month ago, but that latte, I still think about it now. That's how delicious it was. But man, I don't know what was in this coffee shop's coconut milk, but it was so good. Or maybe it was the espresso that they were using. I think a lot about coffee when there's none in my hand. Okay, let's do some eyebrow work now. And eyebrows look so different after you groom them a bit. You can find that arch. Raiders of the Lost Arch. I'm gonna try this more metallic shade here on my eyes today. I've been thinking about getting a hand mirror for when I do this. I like the size of the mirror in this palette because it's nice and big, but then it gets heavy to hold after a while. Sometimes I think about the movie The Fifth Element and the little makeup box that she had. That's the future that this liberal dreams of. I do own eyeliner, just never use it. I just reach a certain point in the makeup process where I'm like, man, I'm tired of doing this. I've been doing this for like days. Especially with eyeliner, it seems like, man, I worked so hard and got such mediocre results. Alright, glasses are on, and let's finish off with my Clinique Black Honey. Looks like it's gonna be it for the day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for spending some time with me this morning. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.